Hello, and welcome to the Candidates Forum 2021. I'm your host, Ed Miller, and we are pleased to have in the studio the candidate, or incumbent, school committee member, Cynthia Rivas Mendes.
Yep.
And as I said, I am terrible on names. I can remember everything else, but for some reason. But thank you for coming down. And thank you for coming for the interview, because we are trying to get the information out there. Because as you know, even Brockton is a city of 105,000. Getting your statement and getting why you want to run is a difficult thing. So we want to try to make it a little easier here at Brockton Cable. So before we start, just give us a little about you and while you're running for re-election of your ward.
All right, so my name's Cynthia Rivas Mendes. I am a mom, a wife, and a full-time homeowner. I'm also an educator in the Boston Public Schools. And the reason why I'm rerunning is because I want to continue the work. I think this past term, as we all know, it was like we got elected and then a pandemic happened. So I got a good perspective of what the school committee is and the goals that we have, but I want to continue working through that and see how that is now that we're in a healing process after the pandemic.
And of course, you're running for Ward 2, correct?
Yes. Ward 2.
Well, the first question I'd like to start off with is, what do you believe is the most important issue facing the school committee today?
I think one of the most important issues would be curriculum. It's a conversation that we've had. I think budgeting was a big deal, but now with the ESSER funds that we're getting, we're just so blessed with those things. So I think a big thing, we have curriculum, but through curriculum we definitely have need of a lot of support, mental health, and this is coming from the community, coming from us talking, the superintendent, people that work in the district for sure. So a huge focus for sure, besides curriculum, is definitely mental health and being trauma sensitive and really understanding the students we serve.
And what are the recommendations do you have moving forward in the school committee?
Recommendations towards that goal of being able to support students with mental health.
Yeah, one of your goals, please.
I think recommendations is one that we're working with now, which is really listening to the community, really listen to the students, building platforms where we're able to hear those voices, to know what are the needs, and continue to support those needs. I think the schools are, we're working towards putting certain people in these schools, if it's adjustment counselors, if it's counselors, social workers, to be able to support students, particularly with mental health. I think when it comes to trauma sensitive, that needs to be with professional development. So one strive that we have and that we want to definitely work towards is being able to provide the schools with more professional development.
Now, of course, COVID is a big issue throughout the city, throughout the country, if you really look at it. One of the things that the school committee has done in the city is they put in the mask mandate program ordered by the state. What is your feeling on the mask mandate program? Do you feel that's something that we should continue, or do you have issues with that?
Personally, I wear my mask every day as an educator. I think for a lot of people, it just gives a security layer that for some people, they may feel like, we don't need masks, we shouldn't have masks. I think it also depends the age group that we're talking about. So I have a little one, a 3-year-old, and he has to wear a mask to preschool. I didn't feel good about that at first, I'll be honest with you. So me wearing a mask, I was okay with that. My son wearing a mask, I was like, but it's the way that we're at right now, where people want to feel a layer of security with the Delta variant happening and other things where we're trying to heal through this pandemic, because the pandemic is still here. We're not quarantined, we're not stuck at home anymore, but it's still a thing that it's happening, right? So I think it's more for safety purposes, so people could feel secure. There's a lot of parents that still don't feel secure sending their kids back, but they have to, right? Because it's state mandated. We just We just started getting virtual learning opportunity where we have a virtual learning school, and it's up in capacity. Why? That just shows that parents are still not sure if they want their kids to physically be in the building because they're fearful, right? Like we had 18 months of this. It's still happening, and to get back to normal, it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a long time to heal from all the issues that have definitely been here but have risen up to the surface. So I think the mask is just one way to secure and show parents that we want their kids to be safe. We want the educators to be safe. We want people in the building to consistently be safe.
And as you said, it was just 18 months of COVID, but it seems like it's been here forever.
Yes.
One of the issues, though, we were talking about before COVID, but was very important, not just in Brockton, but throughout the whole state and country, is the issue on standardized testing. Some people for it, some people think we do too much. What's your opinion on the standardized testing? Do you feel it works, or do you have any changes you may like to add, if you could, as a school committee member?
I think definitely with standardized testing, my perspective comes heavily from being an educator and really seeing how we're sometimes forced to teach to the test. And I think we lose a lot of being able to focus more on life skills, communication skills, financial literacy, being able to focus on those main things that are very important for life. I think standardized testing, because it's just one way to measure where students are and if they're learning, I honestly don't think they're absolutely necessary. I think there's other ways to assess students. I think myself, I struggled with standardized testing. To take my MTELs to become a licensed teacher, I mean, I had to take them more than 5 times, to be completely transparent with you. I think we serve different populations where everybody's gonna have a different need and everybody's gonna need different accommodations. So I don't think standardized testing, it should be one way to just measure and see where our students are and see how our educators are doing, right? I think that could be maybe one point, but if you were to ask me if I agree with standardized testing, I don't agree with it at all. I think we could use the time, we could use our resources better to prepare our kids for life, right? Not just for college. College is one part, and that's if they want to go to college, but really for life. I wish financial literacy was something we were focusing on. What is credit? What is, and these are things that you would expect parents to do, but the community we serve, some parents are still learning the system as they go, right? The American system, the economy system. So no, I don't think standardized testing.
Okay, all right, thank you. And since the previous hike, nearly a decade ago, Brockton was recognized as a leader in the achievement gap here in Brockton. Brockton experienced a continued decline in the academic outcome according to the state data, with 10 out of the 21 schools ranked in the lowest 10% here in Massachusetts schools. What recommendations do you have in assisting the turnaround of this decline?
My biggest recommendation is definitely, I think, professional development. You don't know until you know, right? Really understanding the communities, the families, the students that we serve. Because once you understand who you're serving, then you understand the needs of what it is that the community needs. So when we're in turnaround, we can talk about curriculum. We can talk about how do we give more support to educators. We can talk about how do we get more teachers in the building, which is really important so we can lower our ratios. Our class sizes are too big, right? But I think what's really, really important is connecting in a human base, right? Connecting human to human, like who are we serving and what are the needs that we as a school, right? Because these 10 schools each have different needs. So what are the needs that these 10 different schools have? Once you really understand the people and the needs, then you're able to put certain things in place, right? Better curriculum, you're able to put more staff. Which staff are you putting in there, right? Because we can't just say, oh, we need 5 teachers. 5 teachers for what? Admin, right? According to state data, that one thing that we've struggled is with admin carrying other responsibilities and not being able to carry their own roles. And we could talk a lot about the budget for many years, but now with the funding that we are getting, that's a privilege that our district is having, and that's something that we can definitely put in place but again, we need to connect that human level and really understand the needs that each of these schools and these people have.
Okay, and as a ward school committee member, you are required to vote on certain issues in support of the overall education system. How would you vote if the vote you cast is not favorable to the constituents in your ward?
So, can you repeat that question, Ed?
Yeah, I'll repeat the end. How would you vote? Now, something you may feel will help the educational system in your ward, but for some reason, the constituents or a majority of the constituents in your in Ward 2 are not in favor of doing it. This whatever needs to be done. How would you vote?
So you're saying like a hypothetical situation. Yes. If I want something and the Ward 2 is not in agreement with it,
yes.
Like how would I approach the situation?
Right. You agree with it. You did the studies that you have. You feel it will benefit the school committee. I'm not school committee. The school overall.
Yeah. So you're.
But for some reason, the constituents aren't really thrilled with it.
Oh, I mean, again, I think if I highly believe in it, we're talking hypothetical. I can't give an example on the spot, and it sounds like it's pretty general. But I think educating, right, door to door is super, super important, and educating on what it is I believe and why I believe it, and really hearing the constituents out, right, because they also have their perspective. They also have their opinion, and weighing that out. But I think, having platforms where I'm listening to them, but they're also being able to listen to me. And if it's something I highly believe, I mean, I'm going to try my best to push it as much as I can. Social media also is a platform that I could use to educate and show why I want this to pass, or why am I voting towards this. And
okay. Now, thank you for coming in tonight. We're always trying to get the information on why people are running or re-running for election. So we very much appreciate you coming down today.
Thank you for the invite.
No problem, no problem. We have a couple of minutes. Why don't you explain to the people in Ward 2 who are going to be watching this why you're running, a little bit about yourself if they don't know you, and why you are the best person to vote for in Ward 2.
As I said before, my campaign slogan was "We will, we can, and we must," and I still highly believe that. I think I've been able to, because of my constituents and you voting me in, I've been able to accomplish things like the Diversity, Race, Equity, and Inclusion Subcommittee, where we've been able to work towards what it is that's happening in the district, platform to be able to hear parents and students. Also, I was part of the hiring of Renee Haywood, which we have our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion office. So that has been awesome just to be able to establish that here in Brockton. And we want to expand that. That's a conversation that we're having now. How do we continue to put supports in that office to support the schools we are? So we support the schools, and those schools can best support the needs of our families and our students. So I think I'm the best person, because I don't think 2 years is enough to just come in and do this, right? I think this is an ongoing work. My son is only 3. He soon will be entering in the system, and that obviously will give me a perspective. One thing that I've spoken to parents is, how do we make changes? And one main reason why I ran was because I wanted to pave that path for my son, right? Many people could ask, but your son's not even in the system, so why? But I think it's important because he's going to be in the system, and I really want to pave that path for him. So I'm here. I'm one of you guys. I live in Ward 2. I am an educator. I am a wife. I am a mother, and most importantly, I am here to get the best out of our district and best support our district. So thank you, and I hope for your vote on Tuesday, November 2nd.
Well, thank you for coming down. We have Cynthia Rivas Mendes, who is running for
Got it,
Ward
Ed.
2. Well, I'm one of those slow students, but I pick it up. Please. I would not be, you wouldn't hate me in class, but I wouldn't be one of your favorites. But thank you for coming down, explaining while you're running, and sharing your views. It was a great interview. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And remember, on November 2nd, that is the time. You have the choice to vote who is going to represent your city, who's going to be your mayor, who's going to be your councilors, and who's going to be sitting on the school committee educating the students of the future or the adults of the future. So remember, November 2nd, get out and vote. Everybody, you have a great day.